Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Erin with e.l.c. Homestead. For everybody who's new and for everybody who has been watching me, thank you very much. I do appreciate all of your subscribing. Today we are going to be making an applesauce cake with cinnamon cream cheese frosting. My aunt sent me this recipe. It looked really good, so we are going to try it. I'm going to turn it down here where you can see what I'm doing. Alright, so we got two bowls, one for white ingredients, one for dry ingredients. And I have got the recipe wrote down on a piece of paper because I don't have memorized, so. And I don't have to look on my phone. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need, we're going to put the dry ingredients in the yellow bowl. So we're going to measure out the dry ingredients first. So we want 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And we're just fluffing up the flour so it doesn't compact. And this cake does not have any kind of butter in it. It does have oil, but no butter. Alright, 2.5 cups of flour, and I'm just going to put my stuff away as I go so it's not crowding my ring board here. Alright, we're going to do 1 teaspoon of baking soda, which is this yellow box here. And I have not opened this yet. Alright, so this is my teaspoon. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Okay. Slide those back into the cupboard. I need to put that baking soda in a bag so it doesn't air out. Alright, and then we need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I'm just using pink Himalayan salt. And then we need 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. A little extra doesn't hurt anything. And then we need 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger. And then 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And then 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. Maybe the lid was stuck on there. Alright, so that is all of our dry ingredients. I forgot to grab a couple of spoons to mix all this up. So we're just going to combine all the dry ingredients with each other, get them all mixed up in there. Now if you wanted to put all of your dry ingredients into a sifter and do it that way, so you don't have any lumps and you have a little bit of a fluffier flour, feel free. I just don't like using a sifter, and I don't have one. So the beeping in the background was my oven. I have it preheated at 350 degrees. Alright, so dry ingredients are just going to sit back there. And now we're going to do our wet ingredients. So we want 2 cups of applesauce. It does say unsweetened applesauce, but I think I picked up sweetened. That's all right. I don't mind. We're just going to put this right in here. All right. Get all the applesauce out of there. Okay, and then we need vegetable oil. I'm using olive oil, so should be good. Any neutral flavored oil will work. You don't always have to use vegetable oil if you don't want to. So this calls for 1 cup of vegetable oil. There's 1 cup of the olive oil that I'm using. And then it also calls for 3/4 cup white sugar. Now normally you would mix your sugars and your butters or your sugars and your oils together until you cream it before you add everything else, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to. So this is my 4th measuring cup. We need 3/4 cup white sugar. Okay. We also need 3/4 cup light brown sugar. Make sure you pack it in there. Sugar. Now before we add the eggs and the vanilla, we are going to beat that all together, that all combined. And you just need a hand mixer to do this. You can use a stand mixer if you want, but you don't have to. That's not done yet. I'm actually going to switch bowls. I don't like that bowl. I normally use this silver bowl for the dry ingredients and my other blue one that I have a handle on for wet ingredients, but that currently has something in it. So it's unavailable right now. So we're just going to take all of this and transfer it to this bowl. The silver bowl used to go to my KitchenAid, but somebody destroyed my KitchenAid, so it had to be tossed. But the bowl was still good to keep. All right. High-powered little hand mixer. It wants to spray everything on me. So I'm going to go ahead and put my apron on so I don't get sticky sugar and stuff all over my shirt. Never had a mixer, a hand mixer, that didn't have a very low setting. So all the sugar and applesauce and oil is all mixed up. So we're going to go ahead and put our 2 large eggs that need to be room temperature in here. And my eggs are farm fresh. Alright, let me throw this away. And I'm going to rinse the egg off my hands. ahead and get this. I don't think I like my mixer. All right, and then it calls for 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. So we're just gonna do that, and then that. It also says that you can add chopped walnuts or pecans, but I can't have nuts. So we aren't gonna be adding. We're not gonna be adding nuts to this, so. And I don't really like nuts in my cake anyways. All right, yeah, I don't like that mixer. It is too messy. Okay, so I'm gonna put my vanilla up so it doesn't get warm. So after we get the wet ingredients here mixed up, we're going to add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients. And we're going to mix all this up until we get a batter. And I'm not going to use the hand mixer. This works just fine. My hand mixer is making too big of a mess. Just want to mix this until it's combined and everything is mixed together well. Make sure you scrape down your sides so you get all the dry ingredients. Alright, and just like that we have a cake batter. We're going to set that aside for a minute. We're going to get our 9x13 pan. If you want to make this in a round pan, you can do that. We're just going to make it in a square pan today. If this turns out something I like, I might make it into a double layer round cake. Time will tell. So I'm just putting some oil in this pan, going up the sides, and this way it'll help the cake not stick to my cake pan. I am not going to flour the pan. Normally I will oil it and put flour in it, but the olive oil seems to keep it from sticking by itself without having to add the flour, so we're going to just not add flour. Alright, so I got that greased. Just going to dump the cake mix in. So we get it all in there. Smells really good. When I was a kid and my mom made cakes, I always hated it when she scraped the bowls really, really clean, because I always liked to lick the bowl after she got the cake batter out. But if we asked her, we could dip a spoon in it and do that way, and she would also let us lick the beaters when she got done. So that worked. All right. So that is all in there, and this is going to go in the oven. I'll wipe off the side here. Give me just 1 second. I don't want burnt cake on the edges of my pan if I can help it. Alright, so my oven is preheated to 350, and this is going to go in the oven for 30 to 35 minutes, or until a toothpick comes out clean when you insert it. Alright, I'm going to set this timer. We're going to do 30 minutes first, and then check it when that goes off. We'll be back when it's done. Okay, so our cake just finished. Whew, it looks yummy. So we're going to get a butter knife. Normally you would use a toothpick, but I don't have none. We're going to go go ahead and pull this out. Whoop. And it is not done yet, so it needs a few more minutes. Give me a second here. All right, so how I know it's not done, it's still wiggly in the middle. I don't know if you can see that. My shadow is really in the way of it. So I don't know if you can see it wiggling there in the middle, but yeah, it's very jiggly. So we're gonna put it back in the oven. Ooh. Come on, get back in there. And we're gonna set our timer probably for about another 5 minutes, because it did say 30 to 35, but I'm gonna go about another 7 minutes, and we'll be back when that's done. All right, so 7 minutes is done, and this cake looks like it's done. We're gonna go ahead and take it out. It looks maybe a little jiggly, but we're gonna stick a knife in the middle of it and see if it comes back clean. I did just pull this out of the drawer. Not done. So it has cake still on it, so we need to put it in the oven. I'm gonna put it back in the oven probably about another 10 minutes. See if that helps it. Alright, we'll come back in 10 minutes. Alright, so our cake is finally done. It took about 45 minutes for it to cook, and I did just stick it in, and it has come back clean. That's a good indicator how you tell if it's done. So we're gonna go ahead and turn off the stove, and we're gonna sit there and let that cool for a little bit. While that's cooling, I'll turn you around here and we will work on the cream cheese frosting that goes in it. So, in here, I got 8 ounces of cream cheese and flour. Give me a second here. Okay. We're just using the bowl that we have the dry ingredients in, so it'll be fine. So 8 ounces of cream cheese. I'm using Philadelphia cream cheese. This is the only kind of cream cheese I use. You can use whatever brand you want. And it says to make sure it's softened. And that's just to ensure that it's going to mix up smoothly. You also want 1 cup of softened butter. My butter is not very soft. I took it out of the freezer about an hour and a half or so ago, and it has not softened as much as I would like, but we'll work with it. So 1 cup of butter is 2 sticks of butter. We're going to add that into the cream cheese. And it does say unsalted butter, but my butter is salted. I only use salted butter. You can use unsalted if you want. Doesn't matter. So we are going to cream the butter and the cream cheese together before we add anything else. I'm just getting my beaters. I had to wash all the applesauce off of them. And, okay, we're gonna turn you around here. My plug-in is on this side of me. Alright, so we're going to cream this together until it is smooth. That's why you want softened butter, because it gets stuck in your blender. Don't worry, my counters are clean. Stop in every once in a while to scrape the sides down so I get all the butter and all the cream cheese incorporated. Alright, I think that's good. I need to roll up my sleeves. And give this a couple more turns here. Alright, so that is well mixed up. We just creamed it all together, so that's just the butter and the cream cheese. Alright, we're going to add 3.5 cups of powdered sugar to that. Push the phone down a little bit. Let's see if I can get it out of my cupboard without making a mess. All right, 3.5 cups. This is my half cup. Forgot I had to wash all the applesauce out of my 1 cup. Now this doesn't have to be exact measurements. If you want to add a little bit more powdered sugar, you can. Doesn't necessarily make much of a difference. I wouldn't be adding a whole lot. A little bit extra is fine. Like if you don't perfectly level the measuring cups, that little extra bit's not going to hurt anything. Alright, so there's 3.5. So before I turn the beaters on to mix this in, it's best if you take a spoon and blend the powdered sugar up a little bit. Powdered sugar is very light, and if you turn a high-speed mixer on to it, or even a hand mixer like this, it will blow powdered sugar into your face. I'm going to wash the butter off my hands because there was a chunk of it on the wooden spoon handle. So after you get it kind of in there, you can stick your beaters in there, and it shouldn't, in theory, shouldn't fly away. I'm gonna have to break down and just get me a stand mixer because these little blenders do not handle this much stuff very often, very well. Get that. There we go. I'm just going to mix this by hand because my beaters don't want to really mix very well. Alright, so I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon or 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla to this. And I don't really measure my vanilla, just whatever I feel looks good. Okay. we are going to try to mix her one more time. See if that vanilla bean in there helps break it up. Nope. Give me just a minute here. Okay. I'm just mixing this up to where the powdered sugar and the vanilla are all combined. And then to this, we are going to add a half a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. A little extra cinnamon, never hurt anybody. I put my salt back over here. Okay, and we just want to mix that in until it's nice and combined. We definitely don't want no big chunks of salt popping up at you. This is not the smoothest frosting. It would be a lot smoother if you used a blender or a mixer on it. But apparently a hand mixer's not strong enough for it. That's okay. Alright, we're going to give it a taste. I think I'm going to add more cinnamon to that. I'm going to wash the stickiness off my hands first. I only taste a hint of cinnamon. So we're going to add probably another, almost a half, probably about 3/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And see if that helps it out. Alright, let's try that. That's a lot better. Alright. I'm just washing my hands off again. Fortunately, there is frosting all over my spoon handle and the side of the bowl. So when my cake cools off a little bit more, we're going to probably let it cool down for maybe about 10 more minutes. Then we'll come back and frost it and taste it to see what it tastes like. So we'll be back in about 10 minutes. So our cake is finally cooled down enough. I can pick it up without pot holders. So it is ready for the frosting and a taste test. So this is what our frosting is looking like. We are going to use a spatula to spread it. I'm just going to scrape it off with a wooden spoon here. And put this in the sink. Alright. So we're still going to just do it a little bit carefully. It's not completely cooled off, but cooled off enough to where we should be able to get this frosted nicely. Now my frosting is not perfectly smooth because my beater hand mixer decided it didn't want to work in my frosting. So there are chunks of powdered sugar in it. But that's okay, because this isn't being sold in a bakery. This is my personal cake. Works better with the knife to spread the frosting. I'm gonna add a little bit more here in this corner. Alright, so we do still have a lot of frosting left, so I'll put that in a small bowl and save it for later. And we are going to go ahead and cut that. Give it a taste test. See how well we did. So this is what it's looking like. Now I have made applesauce cake before, and I do like it, but I never put cream cheese frosting on it. That has never occurred to me to do that. See if we can't lift it out of here without spilling it on the floor. Alright, so that's what it looks like on the inside. Okay. So give this a taste here and see what it tastes like. Not bad. I have a sore tooth, that's why I'm making the face. Frosting is very sugary. Usually my cream cheese frosting is not this sweet. I think the frosting would be better if this was a spice cake. So I do like the cake and I like the frosting, but I'm not sure I really like them together. Which is weird because I love cream cheese frosting. It is my favorite frosting, but I think this would be better on a spice cake or a carrot cake. It's okay on the applesauce cake, but I would prefer either the cake by itself or just a normal frosting. So if I make this cake again, which I most likely will, I'll probably just leave it unfrosted because it would probably be better that way and probably make cupcakes instead of a whole cake. Anyways, that is it for today's video. If you like this video, please like and share and subscribe, and I will keep posting videos like this. And until next time, have a great day.